Welcome to this tutorial titled Freedom to Design. And essentially, our objective is to create a learning interaction from scratch. So every aspect of this learning interaction, from its interface to the scripting to its strategy, will be something that fulfills our design. Now, the title of our learning interaction will be Learner-Centered Design. On this screen, we have some basic instructions, and then we're taken to the main interface. This is essentially what you'll be creating. The interface is composed of a persona, so this is randomly generated. This could either be an expert or a novice. There's a brief description of the persona. Now, this could be a full-fledged description, but kept it simple. This area is where feedback is given. Once we've received feedback, we can continue on. The engine produces statements. These statements are being pulled from initially a data set. So we create a data set, and then elements from that data set or items from that data set are copied into an array. That's essentially a list of items. In the item, we have a statement. The learner is challenged to decide whether the statement is true or false based on the persona. So is this particular statement true given the randomly selected persona? In this case, the statement is provide material that connects to real tasks. Well, that would be true certainly of both novices and adults. We'll submit that. Our feedback is well done. This strategy is matched to the learner. Click on the Continue button. Now we have a novice address prior knowledge. Well, we should always be addressing prior knowledge, so we'll submit that. Well done. Continue button clears the feedback and then pulls the next item from the queue. So consider that elaborative processing, learner explaining why something is true, improves understanding. Well, that would be true. And we'll go ahead and submit that. This is a novice. Dual code, combine words and visual aids to improve learning. Now we have a novice. It's asking us to provide, the statement is provide outcome feedback rather than corrective feedback. So should that be a strategy? I'm going to answer this incorrectly. I'll say it's true. Outcome feedback versus corrective feedback is really better suited to an expert. I'll select true, which is incorrect. And then it says, sorry, this strategy is mismatched to the learner. Novices need corrective feedback. Experts benefit more from outcome feedback. Interleave different components to improve transfer. That's true. So here we have a novice, and the statement is prioritize worked examples to improve learning for this learner. That is well suited to a novice. I'm going to select false. I'll answer incorrectly. This strategy is mismatched to the learner. Showing solved problems helps beginners. Well, this particular item now, any items that we answered incorrectly, will be returned to the queue. So they'll be actually added to the queue. So essentially the queue is a list of statements we're going to add this list of this particular statement to that list, to that array. The next time it comes up, you'll have the same statement, but we'll have perhaps a different persona. So you can't just memorize, you just can't. The learner must understand the statement in its context. You must understand if this statement is true or false, given the persona. Then once we've completed this once we've answered all of the questions, including the ones we've missed, we'll go to the next page, which will be our report. Now we haven't answered everything, and so our report is just going to be not a number, it's just going to be 0 out of 0. But had we completed this, then the report would be, it would reflect how well the learner did, and it would attempt to communicate that information to our learning management system. So let's move on to actually creating this interface and all of its logic from scratch. Let's put this away and let's begin. Now the template that we're choosing is the Activity Maker template. Our project, we'll just name our project Freedom to Design. Now Lodestar has created a folder called Freedom to Design now and placed it in the projects folder. So the Lodestar projects folder now has a child folder named Freedom to Design, and everything, all the ingredients are placed in that folder. So if we simply took that folder and moved it onto a web server, everything would work if we pointed to the index.html page. Let's create an overall structure so that we understand basically how all of the parts relate to the whole. This first page is going to be a title page. It is a page of type text, so there are various page types. This particular page is a text page, and it'll hold our title. Click on the plus button to create a new page, and this page will be our instructions page. We'll put in a page ID. Each page has to have a page ID. We'll add a page. This will be our main interface. This will be the challenge page. Add a page. Now we have the report page, but we don't want a text page, so we have to change it. So first we added a page, and then we changed that page type to report. Everything's in alphabetical order. We're done with that. Let's now add a page. This page will change it to a wall. Essentially, this is going to wall off anything that succeeds this page. So we'll call this the wall. Now these page IDs are somewhat arbitrary, although it's really important to add a page ID, and we may target the page ID with script. So we need to ensure that this represents the page well. Let's add a page. Of course, we're going to get another wall because the default is always the preceding page. We'll change that back to text. And this will hold our persona. So basically it'll hold a widget that has our imagery in it. And then one more page to end it, and this will be our data set. So we'll put our data set on this page. Essentially we're done. And our whole structure, if we were to look at it this way, is a title, instructions, challenge, a report. We forgot to name this, so this is blank. wall persona dataset. We can click on that and quickly remedy the lack of a page ID. There we go. That's our overall structure. So let's go back to the title now. We're on the title page. I like this view better. Click on the image tool in the HTML editor. The blue buttons sort of indicate your next step. In this case, our next step is to get an image, and we want a title image. We can even put in an alt. This is just a decorative image, or we could just call it title. Select OK. Oh, before we do that, probably want to make this expand to 90%. We always want to use percentages here. And there's our page. Now we have, it looks like we need to trim away some of this. We'll do that. Click on it. We'll crop the image. Use the crop tool. Click crop again. 90%, let's center it. There we go. Great. We're done with our title. Let's move on. So we're using these buttons here to navigate. Let's add some instructions. We'll get image. We'll find our instructions. We have the same situation here, so we really need to trim. I'll click on the image, click on crop. Let's bring this down. So we'll get this about so. Bring that in. And that looks good. Okay. So we've cropped our image. Let's bring that down in size a little bit, 70%. We're going to center that, and let's put in an alt, and that'll be instructions, just to make this a little more accessible. And there we have it. And then of course we can add all of our instructions below. That's just simple text. It's telling the user, the learner, what to expect. Now we'll move over to our challenge page. On the challenge page, we use the SVG editor to create scalable vector graphics. And those will essentially be the components of our interface. So we will take basic crude shapes and make an interface out of them. So here we go. Here's our canvas. We can double click and maximize our screen real estate. We have a variety of tools here on the left side, and then we have our properties on the right side. I'll click on rectangle and draw a rectangle. Notice that when I've completed drawing a rectangle, it's not selected. I need to go to the select tool and select it. So there we go. Then I have, with it selected, I have two tiles here. This tile up top is the fill color, and this tile is the stroke color. Now I want to click on the fill color and ensure that it's the right color. So I have a specific color in mind. I'm going to remove that hex, and then the color I have in mind is C7 for the red component, DE for the green component, and E9. So this is essentially hexadecimal, and it's just a hexadecimal version of 222 for red, or excuse me, 199 for red, 222 for green, and 333 for the blue component. Perfect. Now the next thing I'd like to do is, ensure that this is selected, and then we're going to increase the stroke to about 4. So we have a black stroke color, which I'll change. We'll change the roundness to about 20. So we're adding rounded corners here. There we go. Okay. So you just simply grab and pull, and we get to 20. It's a little tricky getting right on the number. There we go. Okay. Again, I wanted the stroke color to be white. I'll click on the tile, select it, and I'll make it maybe I'll make it an off-white here. So E5, E5, so it's essentially a light gray. Terrific. Now rather than redrawing this rectangle, I can choose Edit and duplicate it. And this one is the same height, but let's just make it a little wider. And this will be for our people characteristics background. Then I'll take this, duplicate it. Now I could ensure that these are all lined up by simply holding down my Shift key, selecting everything, and then aligning the objects along the top. Next part is a question stem. Let's add that. This is simply the background for the question stem label. We'll position that. And get that to be about the right width. Probably want to flatten that curve out a little bit, flatten out that roundness. Okay. That's the background to our question stem label. We can then extend. Now this will be the background to our persona. And then for the actual question stem, let's go ahead and duplicate. Drag that down. I'll want to flatten that roundness out as well. Maybe make that just a little taller because it's going to contain the actual question stem. I've gotten this far, so I'll go ahead and exit just so that I can save. I'll click on the save, so I'm saving the entire project. To go back and edit an SVG graphic, you click on the graphic and select edit. I think I'll make this a little wider. Make this a little wider. The next part is I want the true and false. I'll start off with a graphic with a rectangle, about that. I want it to be a gray. Again, I'll use my select tool, select. Make that a gray. I think I would like a little lighter than that. Good. Now I'll, for my radio button, select the ellipse circle tool, hold down the shift key to make a perfect circle, and then I'll modify that. So ensure that my stroke color is black. And then I think for my fill color, I'll make it perfectly white. Then I'll add a label. So I'll select the text tool. I'll capitalize. It'll be true, and I think I'll bold that. Get that centered on the circle. Now what I'm able to do is group these all together. Before I do that, I think I'll just select all of these things. So I have 3 items selected, and I'll go ahead and duplicate. Let's not do that approach. I'll undo. I'll go ahead and group them. So select everything and then just group these elements. Now what I'm able to do is duplicate. I can select both items and align them along the top edge. And then just center them. Now this is a grouped item. I have 2 ways I can go about this. I can double click, and then I can essentially dig into the group. So now I'm 1 level deep. There is an issue here with simply editing a text field like this. So what you have to do is delete that text field and then type in our false. There we go. And then I can nudge that downwards, get that centered, ensure that's bold, and then surface back up to the layer. So there we have it. We have our two true and false areas. We'll deal with that. We'll deal with the code related to these in just a bit. Now I'd like to create a submit button, rectangle. So there we have our rectangle. Again, I need to select that. Change that roundness. I won't make it quite as round as everything else. It looks good. The stroke color will be white, or maybe that off-white that we'd chosen before. The actual fill color we'll make into a blue. Find a nice blue. There we go. Type in our text. Get that repositioned. We'll change the fill color of our text. Make that a bold. No, I'm not sure about that. Then I'll group these elements. Or at least what I'll do is maybe I'll duplicate this first. And this will be a continue button up top. And we'll change the color of that. Oh, I'm not sure what happened to my text. What happened to that text? Oh well. We'll fix that. First of all, for the continue button, we'll make that a green. Retype our text. I'll bring down the font size. Again, this is all our properties here on this side. There we go. Now I'll group this so it's one entity. And then we'll do the same here. Bring down that size. Make that bold. Select the background, group those elements. Now we have what will turn into a continue and submit button, but there's no script related to these yet, and we're just using the default IDs. We'll change all of that very soon. The next part we want to do is put in a placeholder for our image. We'll click on the image. So you select and then click onto the interface. Select your image. There we go. Use my arrow keys to nudge that in place. Then we have a title. I'll change that to, well, let's change the fill to black. Call this people characteristics. Reminds me of a LXD, Learning Experience Design Canvas. Then we'll place a little placeholder. This will just be text that'll serve as a placeholder. Later, with script, we'll replace this to actually describe the persona. Create a heading background here. Again, selection tool. Do a very, very light green. I'll change the opacity of this or kind of make this a lot paler. There we go. I'll add a label, feedback. Change that to black. Then for the feedback area itself, let's add a rectangle here. We'll make that fill color white. Maybe give it a bit of a roundness. There we go. Then we have our label. And then we'll apply a property to that. Make that bold. So this is just simply serving as a label. And now we'll add a text placeholder here. And this will contain the actual text stem. We need a placeholder for the feedback. That'll be right there. Let's create a background to everything. We'll use our select tool, give that a color. Here I'll use our default color of C7 DE9. Let's send that to the back. And then we'll add one more, add a background here. And this will make a little darker. Change our fill. Let's use kind of a dark gray. Oops, I had selected the wrong thing, so I'll undo that. Okay, let's go ahead and turn that back into the color we wanted. And we'll send that to the back. And then we'll take this color, or excuse me, this rectangle, and send that to the back. There's our missing text. And let's, now that this is selected, properly selected, we'll go ahead and do what we wanted to do originally. And I'll go ahead and just widen that a little bit. Here we go. Let's get this in place. Okay, let's check everything. We have our placeholder for the image, for the text. When we did the undo, we lost that. So we'll go ahead and put our text here. Make that a little smaller. Okay, we have our question stem. We've got our text placeholders. We have our true and false, submit, our background. We could tweak this a little bit. I'll go ahead and exit, save, and then ensure that everything is saved. We have one final important step related to this graphic, and that is we need to click on the graphic so that we can edit its properties and then change from a fixed width and height to 100% to a relative width. We'll then ensure that this is centered and click OK. We're now ready for the next part, which is to provide IDs for all of the elements so that we can refer to them with our script. Until next time.